And then one day I just said, you know what? This is crazy. I'm too young for this. I am not going to just sit back and just do chemo for the rest of my life and let 18 months be it. And so I said, there has to be other options. October of 2020, we had a Halloween party and just didn't feel good later that evening and ended up throwing up and just felt off. And then after that, I felt fine. So I thought, well, maybe I just overate. Then again, Christmas night, I was feeling sick again. And so as I moved into this January, I noticed kind of got more frequent, just more upset stomach, vomiting, just not feeling good. I just felt off. And so I made an appointment with the doctor, did some more blood work, and showed that I was anemic, low hemoglobin. And so she thought it'd be better to go and do an endoscopy and colonoscopy. So I got in with the gastro doctor. Beginning of March, I had the endoscopy and colonoscopy done. And March 10th, I was in for the results. And he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's stomach cancer. And I didn't know what to think. It's just not what I was thinking at all. You think it's an ulcer. And so it hits you like, it's devastating. So, I didn't think it was going to be stomach cancer. And then when they said it was stomach cancer, you think, well, okay, I can beat this. I got this. Which I was only sick for a little bit and can't be that bad. And then when they say stage 4, I had no idea that this was going on to that long. They said, it was probably growing for at least 2 years. And I just had no symptoms until the October of 2020. And then I was diagnosed stage 4, March of 2021. It was tough. It was hard being handed that and have to come home and tell my 3 girls, mom has stomach cancer, and it's not a good outlook for it. I did the 4 rounds of chemo, and the CT scans showed no really reduction, just kind of stayed the same, and it didn't really do much to it at all. September, I convinced them to let me do the HIPEC, but they pretty much said, this is, it didn't respond. You're going to be doing chemo for the rest of your life. And without me even asking, that he said, probably about 18 months. And that was another devastating, information, chemo the rest of my life, fine. But for only 18 months is what he's predicting. It was devastating. I don't know another word besides devastating. And so it took me a few days. I was depressed and self-pity, and sat and cried. And, it was, 18 months, but it would be 18 more months with my family, and, I'll be going through chemo. And then one day I just said, you know what? This is crazy. I'm too young for this. I am not going to just sit back and just do chemo for the rest of my life and let 18 months be it. And so I said, there has to be other options. And so I continued with the chemo treatment, but started doing research. So I found a clinical trial out of UCSD, and it was with Claudin and CAR T. And so I waited for a while, and then they called me and said, unfortunately, your tumor did not test for the Claudin marker. And so you are not able to do this trial. About a month later, they called back and they said, we wanted to let you know, we had a lot of negatives coming up on the Claudin testing. So we took all those samples and we retested them. And yours actually came back as positive for Claudin, and enough of a percentage that you would meet the trial guidelines. And so I was able to start the CAR T trial out of UCSD. First round came back significant reduction with the CAR T treatment. And so I was excited. I went, 3 months, 4 months without any treatments, felt great. I was able to enjoy that time with my family more easier than I was before. November, middle December of 2022, I started feeling just sick again, just vomiting, weak, tired. One of the days I was going over, right before I went over to San Diego for a follow-up, I felt real weak. And I couldn't walk from my chair in the living room to the kitchen without being like, I need a nap. And so I got over to California, and they did blood work and realized that my hemoglobin was like in the 6.1. There was some bleeding in there that just wasn't, it was more bleeding than I had before. And so I had some radiation on the stomach area, not from treatment wise, but more to stop the bleeding. And so once I got that under control, I was able to go back in and do my third round of CAR T treatment. I saw another significant reduction in the cancer and the tumor. And so I was excited, felt great. I didn't have any more cells. And so that clinical trial was over for me because I had only had enough cells for 3 treatments. I have an amazing doctor out of UCSD that helped me look for another clinical trial, and I did anti-monoclonal antibody treatment. So I did a few rounds of that, and I'm back on chemo here in Arizona, but with immunotherapy for the first time. And so I've had a couple rounds of that, and we're using that kind of as a bridge as I'm looking to see what else is out there and what's going to work for me. And so I'm doing that right now with immunotherapy in hopes of finding that next clinical trial that's going to be up and coming and, give me another better chance of not having to do chemo. And I think anyone starting this journey needs to know you have to advocate for yourself. You have to know, you don't have to just listen to what the doctor says and say, okay, I whatever you say, doctor, if it doesn't sound like something that you're okay with. And so you have to say, no, that's not going to work for me. What else is there? That I also learned that you have to be comfortable with your doctors. I have a good doctor here in Arizona that a cheerleader for me. And I found a doctor like I said, in San Diego that I feel like is fighting with me. And so I think you have to have those doctors and find those doctors that can support you and make you feel comfortable. I've also learned just to appreciate, just everything that you have, and that's where I think where this has really helped is just being that positive, looking to the positivity. I want to show my family and my girls that, there's just because you're handed something doesn't mean you just have to take it as is. Advocating for myself, fighting like hell, and keeping that positive mindset is definitely made a huge difference on just where I'm at right now compared to where I think I would have been if I didn't have those things.